Welcome, kings, queens, and in-betweens to Deep Dive Zone, a Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm Devin, joined as always by my friends Lauren and Bruce, making up for a total of 3 hosts for this show. There have never been any more than 3 hosts. If you think you saw someone else, you're definitely crazy, you're probably hallucinating, and you are going to die. Let's talk about Sonic comics.
Alright.
We're starting off here
foreboding intro
with Sonic number 66, and I'm gonna be honest, Spazion's art is looking a little weird today.
I love Naugus's face. It is incredible.
Naugus's face looks a bit like it could have been a drawing of Robotnik that was just slightly changed.
It works.
He does. Work. He has the same sort of head shape as old style Robotnik.
Yeah.
Sonic's face and hands are weirding me out a little bit.
I violently dislike his eyelids being drawn like this.
Yeah, it's like he has closed eyes on top of his other closed eyes.
Yes, I violently dislike this.
Well, this isn't the first time I've seen it.
And it's certainly not the last. We are starting here with A Friend Indeed, written by Ballers, drawn by Butler. Sonic, Tails, and Naugus duke it out with ring-powered Ultra forms. Naugus gains the upper hand, and Nate is finally forced to break his principle of neutrality to defeat him. I suppose that it's not really a principle of neutrality so much as he sees all of the power that these rings have, and he does not want to give it up to anybody.
Right, he
because
understands.
He thinks it'll be misused.
Right, he understands how powerful the rings are.
Well, if that's true, why is Sonic like, wow, this is great, Nate. We should use this. And Eddie's like, no. And he's like, yeah, you don't get it. Like, why would he make such a huge stockpile to not use it? Seems pretty stupid. Asking for trouble.
That is an interesting question.
Second question, why does he store it outside of his house where Naugus can get it? Because he does?
That's a better point. Because if you're hoarding power to deliberately withhold it from everyone, including yourself, that's something. Having it not be secured very well is, yeah.
Pretty dumb, but it's obviously just an excuse for the final fight.
To be honest, I didn't even realize this was, like, actually outside. I thought this was some kind of dimensional tear.
Well, I thought it was underneath the castle, to be honest.
Yeah, the rings seem to be looking like they're tearing through reality, but where they're tearing through reality is outside of his house, so.
Yeah. But yeah, they have a back and forth, but Naugus shows up and tries to crush him with some rocks. I guess technically he sort of succeeds, but Eddie shields Nate, and Sonic and Tails, I guess they just kind of jump in the ring pile?
I think they just kind of jumped wherever they could.
Yeah.
They just collect the rings by touching them. That's how it works.
Well, yeah.
So we get Ultra forms here. They're not super forms.
Well, Ultrasonic and Hyper Tails, which is confusing because that's a different thing.
Yes, Tails has his sort of super form from Sonic 3, because he's got the special Flicky army.
That's right, yeah.
But that's not the same as Turbo Tails or Super Sonic, even though Hyper Tails would suggest a Chaos Emerald super form. I don't know.
Yeah,
well,
that's a good point.
That would actually be Super Tails.
Wait, I thought Hyper Tails was...
Hyper Tails doesn't exist, at least as far as I'm aware. Unless it does in the comics later, which wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think
because
so.
In the games, the Super Emeralds actually make him Super instead of Hyper.
Okay.
But in the comics, the Chaos Emeralds make Knuckles Hyper instead of Super, is the thing.
That's true.
The point is, they have big power, which is all that really matters.
It's kind of a matter of rule of cool.
Yeah, so this kind of annoyed me. I like the reference to the flickies with Tails. That is actually neat. But the fact that they're like, oh, let's just make up new super powerful forms for the final fight. Like, this isn't Dragon Ball Z. This pisses me off.
Well, and frankly, it annoys me in Dragon Ball Z when they do it too.
Well, yeah, fair.
Super Saiyan Trunks Rage, fuck it. No, I'm sorry. So
don't let your anger about Dragon Ball Z come out. It'll come out too fast.
Maybe this should have just been a stockpile of rings and Chaos Emeralds so that they could just, have it be that way.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't have to make up some new stupid form. Yeah, if they were just chaos... Heck, I wouldn't have minded if they just turned super because reasons.
All of that aside, we have a big fight with Naugus using all of his different elemental powers of rocks, water, maybe a little bit of fire here and there.
My favorite magic, just yeeting rocks at people.
That's how Earth magic works, I guess.
You're goddamn right it is.
Yeah, the fight is kind of cool. What's kind of weird is the fact that it's all narrated. The characters have a few lines here and there, but mostly, like, what they're saying is described, which is a shame because I want to see what Naugus says when he, like, explains his whole life story in the middle of the fight.
I guess to be fair, that's kind of explained after the fight.
It's but presentation wise, it is kind of like
stupid, but it is kind of explained.
It's
too
weird.
Yeah.
Why did they do it this way?
I don't know. I agree. It's dumb.
It just makes it just clutters things up. I'm not a fan of it.
That said, there is some neat lore to be had here. I like that they brought in, unless I mentioned this before, but I don't remember it, the thing from Sat AM where the Zone of Silence enhances Naugus' abilities, which is why he opens a portal to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We also get a reference to Feist, the panda demigod that Penders introduced and promptly forgot about.
Yeah, so they bothered to bring in Feist for a second just to explain absolutely nothing. Like, what was the point of referencing him?
Yeah, the thing is, you could have had Sonic and Tails go against Naugus with maybe no super forms at all, because they do lose.
Good point, they do lose.
Yeah, no, totally. I'm just saying if they wanted them to transform, but yeah, that was kind of surprised me. I was like, what? They fought for a few seconds and they got burned out.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead, the pivotal moment comes up in the middle of a page turn and with a not very big panel, which is a criticism of the art that I feel like they could have made this more impactful. But Nate reveals that he has a ring, like a wishing ring, I guess, in his eyepiece.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know what a wishing ring is. Did you just make that up?
Well, rings granting wishes is a thing that happens in this comic, but I don't know if that's a specific kind of ring, or if that's just a thing any ring can do.
You know how many things the rings can do? Too many.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a property of the rings that they made up on the spot. Let me just say that I do not believe for a second that one ring and a wish in Nate's heart can defeat Naugus with a gajillion rings. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's clear they just wanted to show what I guess what Nate's technology could do.
If they had just taken some time to think about it a little more instead of making it a Deus Ex Machina, it would have been more impressive. Just saying.
Yeah, it's that they wanted Nate himself to get the win, but they didn't have a great avenue to get him there. And he just wishes Naugus back into the Zone of Silence.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's it for the arc about defeating Naugus. Naugus is not gone from the series, but everything we've been building up to for the past, 10 issues, that's it.
Yeah, very underwhelming.
Very underwhelming.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing. I don't wholly blame Ballers for that, because he didn't write all these stories, but it's like...
Right.
We struggled with the build-up, and now we're struggling with the payoff, and... yeah. But, had to defeat him somehow, I suppose, and now everything's crumbling, collapsing, and Eddie the Yeti decides to make the ultimate sacrifice to save Nate, Sonic, and Tails by holding up the rocks.
This would be a lot more impactful if we hadn't have known Eddie for, an issue and a half?
Well, actually, you're right. You're totally right. But they did at least try a little bit. I mean, it was rushed, but I didn't mention at the beginning there's a bit it's actually a pretty nice moment where, like I said, I did mention that Eddie jumped in and stopped Sonic from grabbing the rings, and then but he has a brief word, and then Sonic's like he can talk,
Right.
and then Nate's like, oh yes, a little in our language and a lot in his own. So that's kind of nice. But you're right, it would have been better if he had more than just.
Well, it would have been nice to really show off Eddie and Nate's relationship.
Yeah,
We got to see a little
clearly
bit
cares
of it.
about him, but we just don't know him.
Yeah, exactly. It's impactful, but not in the right way, I guess is the best way to put it.
And kind of a shame, because this is just one more bad thing happening in Nate's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yikes. After this, Sonic and Tails are like, well, might as well come with us, Nate. And he's like, sure, because literally he's got nothing left.
Yeah, he's
horrible.
There's really no other reason to do anything.
It's too bad, but yeah, that's the end of the first story.
Yeah, underwhelming and depressing. Not what I expected the end of the Naugus arc to be like.
Yeah, it was kind of a wet fart.
It was a drier fart than some of the wet farts we've gotten, but not great. I don't even know what that means. Is wet bad? Let's not ask that.
Bad. Wet is bad, Devin. Don't worry.
I need to find out if this gym is creepy or wet. All right. Well, let's do the other story here, because the other story is deep lore moments. It's called "And Then There Was One," or the until now untold origin of Ixis Naugus, which is written by Ballers and drawn by Butler, which is, as we just said, a retelling of the origin of Ixis Naugus, originally 3 dark wizards forced together into one body.
Explains why he's so dysfunctional.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is like the perfect backstory.
Yeah, it really is.
These guys are the Order of Ixis, which are sort of they're a weird, like, magic, sort of religious movement, and they all want to conquer the elements, as they're seeing. I want to point this first panel. They're looking at the Earth. That doesn't look too good, does it?
Yeah, so I'm assuming that means whatever caused the end of the world, or caused our post-apocalyptic story, was nuclear in origin.
Yeah.
So that's sure interesting.
They say this is the Days of Fury, which
Uh-huh.
I thought of the Day of Fury.
Yeah.
That what's his face? Thayer talked about. But if this is supposed to be like artificial, that's interesting.
This is the first Day of Fury. The other ones are weather events that are a result of this.
Okay.
Oh, so like nukes or something threw off the ecosystem.
Right. That does make sense, actually. Yeah.
But the actual like plot of this, if you can say it sort of has a plot, is these three wizard guys, Agunus the rhino, Suguna the lobster, and Nuzgal the bat, and each of them controls one of the elements, and they want to use the sun to learn fire magic individually and not share with each other.
I didn't realize until now that Naugus's claw is like metal, because I can see clearly on these 3 that they're partially metal. What's up with that?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It clashes with the whole Naugus is all about science, not magic, or magic, not science, to contrast with Nate. So it's kind of weird that they just have that.
Well, especially since Naugus's claw is always rendered the same color as his other hand, which just has a glove on it. I don't know why these guys are cyborgs.
It's a little ambiguous, so that's weird. They explained one thing and then they made some more questions. It is kind of funny that these 3, it feels like they were destined to fuse because they all betray each other in the exact same way.
Yeah, they jump out of the water, through the air, and across space, and each of them tries to claim the sun for themselves by grabbing one of the others, and all of them fly into the sun.
Yep.
And then merge because magic.
Icarus Naugus.
Ha. Yes. So, again, this is actually bringing even more questions. Why, after fusing, is Naugus's first thought I think I'd like to serve King Acorn.
Well, I'm assuming this was. My assumption would be he's trying to do that to get some kind of power.
So maybe, but so far in all the flashbacks, there's been no indication that Naugus actually tried to overthrow or trick the king. Or well, I mean, he got Nate kicked out, but he never did anything to harm the king or anything. Like, so I don't understand why he would take this position. It's strange.
I'm not sure what exactly Naugus's motivation as a character is. That probably could have been part of the 6 issues you spent establishing nothing before now, but
fair enough.
I mean, all of the Ixis wizards are some amount of power hungry. But what specifically Naugus wants out of it, or any of his component pieces, I'm not sure. You know, maybe the Order of Ixis, you know, as a religion is something that he wants to be dominant. Maybe as the royal wizard, he had a certain level of influence such that he could manipulate things to the way he wanted without having to overthrow the king.
Yeah, possibly.
Guess, yeah.
I mean, I can come up with guesses.
But yeah, none of it is explained.
Clear at all, which I guess now's a good time. You mentioned it a little bit, and I agree. Now that Naugus is out of the picture, they really didn't do much to develop him compared to, you know, obviously Robotnik or heck, even Mogul in his like 2 seconds of glory.
Right.
Mogul was more clear. It's weird. And I'm just remembering, like, Naugus was supposed to have ran off to, like, gather allies. He never did that.
No, they must have decided instead he just ran off to go find, to go find Nate.
I'm not 100% on this, but I seem to remember him actually being surprised that Nate was there. I thought that was an accident.
Was it? I mean, I guess it might have been. I don't remember.
Here's the only thing that I could think of. It's possible that this was going to be a longer storyline. This was going to be where they find Naugus, but then all of the additional battles with him would be after they're back home and have the rest of the cast. But we have seen satellites turning on and doing things for a few issues at this point.
Right.
And that was not simply a product of them wanting to do that storyline. That was something that... I mean, not the satellite thing specifically, but what it means was something that SEGA wanted. So it's possible that the arc they planned could have been truncated.
I think that makes the most sense.
Well, it's a darn shame, because if they just made a better use of their time, they wouldn't have ran out of time.
Yeah, we didn't need the 6 issues of not Naugus before this.
Yeah.
Even if I like the Icon stories.
Well, so there were good stories in there, but I think, to me at least, the problem is that all of those stories should have related to Naugus in some way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Instead of the only relation being they're going after him.
They should have been following Naugus's path of destruction.
Yeah. And dealing with it. That would have made the most sense. Or that would have made the most sense to connect it to their hunt for Naugus. Instead, they basically made, 6 issues?
Yeah.
Yeah, that basically made 6 issues kind of pointless.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I was excited to have Naugus back originally, but
yeah,
very disappointing with what they did with him.
I do at least like the backstory chapter just because it's really weird.
The backstory chapter is at least kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I should be clear; it's not all bad at all.
Oh no, it's not bad at all.
No,
there's
It's not all bad. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, there's clearly stuff on display here that shows that there was thinking behind this. I mean, Nate has the most deliberately planned character arc of anyone we've really seen so far, even if I don't love him as a character.
Oh yeah, I'm very interested in where we're going to go with Nate, since
he's a weird as hell character, but it's interesting.
Well, speaking of Nate being weird, he's looking up on the cover of Sonic number 67 from the bottom, and... It's kind of like... This looks like a meme face. Live Nate reaction is what this is.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they drew the cover, and then someone was like, hey, yo, there's a new character in this series that we want to make sure people know is around. Oh, okay, I'll just draw him in the corner.
Yeah. Indiana Sonic gonna look for the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. Yes. We're doing another parody issue. I can't say I'm very excited.
This is a weird one also, because like some of these are like the second half of it is like shot for shot from the Lost Ark.
Oh, boy.
I kind of like this.
It's not bad. It's strange.
Another
Yes.
strange thing is why'd they put Astal on the cover here? This is the second time they've cameoed, and this one
Yeah.
makes even less sense.
Was that even a
Spazion just
Sega
likes-
developed game?
I think Spazion just likes drawing Sega characters on things. Well, in any case, the story here is not named after Indiana Jones. Instead, it's just straight up called Tomb Raider. Which, that is weird, because that is a PS1 game that's competing with Sega. But, Ballers and Butler, Sonic searches the Temple of Shamazon for the Ring of Acorns, an artifact constructed by Nate Morgan, which he plans to use to power Mobotropolis.
Fucking Shamazon.
But yes, we're exploring some ruins, which is, funny, because we're not at Sonic Adventure yet, but,
Sonic uses a triple S spin to jump down a slope, which I think he used last issue or something, so I guess that's a new thing he has.
it's like a regular spin, but more.
Wow.
I don't know why we need to keep giving Sonic's moves names.
Yeah, that's my point.
Well, one thing that I do like about this is that we're getting some nature environments that are far enough away to not have been touched so much by Robotnik, which you'd think we would have seen up to this point since we're supposed to not have been around, Robotropolis, Mobotropolis, but all of the art in, like, the Frank Strom and Michael Gallagher stories was just bad, so maybe that's why. This ain't... I say, untouched by Robotnik, and that is kind of true, but this ancient temple still has, like, machine gun turrets in it.
Well, not to mention, a certain satellite activates some roboticized Mobians, too.
Yeah, Satellite does its thing. Sonic finds the Ring of Acorns, which looks exactly like any other ring.
Yeah, is it actually
Yep.
explained why it's so special? I don't remember.
Well, this is... I mean, what it can do is special.
Yeah, okay, I guess, is it explained why it can do that?
Nate made it that way. I don't know.
He put
Alright,
the
fair
special
enough.
juice on it.
Fair enough, alright.
Anyway, big snake attack.
Yeah, it's another big old cobra. I like how Sonic defeats it the exact same way he defeated the one in issue 21.
By tying it into a knot. Yep.
I mean, how else is he gonna defeat a big snake?
Sure.
I think it's fair enough, because at least now we get it drawn by Stephen Butler, because this two-page spread I think is awesome.
Oh, you know, the two-page spread is pretty cool.
Get a poster of this, but as for how much it matters, not that much. Sonic just kind of runs out after that. Well, actually, no. They have the tied up snake do the Indiana Jones rolling rock moment.
Yeah.
And then we get to see all the... Is it appropriate to call them badniks show up? But they're all colored monochrome for some reason, which is kind of boring compared to how they were pictured on the cover.
Yeah, the Robians on the cover have colors, and in fact, they do when they're activated, too. They at least have, like, weird blue eye bags on that lion dude and, like, a colored mouth.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think any of them are colored.
Maybe it was for
That
clarity,
is
maybe it
odd.
was to save on resources, I don't know. Robian designs are extremely varied. Sometimes they look good, other times they look really bland. But, yeah, no, Sonic gets back, we get to the plane. Nate explains that he put the ring there where there was originally a super emerald, which he used to create the giant ring stash we just burned through.
Yes, that's true. And before he gets to elaborate too much, Sonic interrupts him. Like, what? So there are super emeralds in the comic now too. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a very casual way of bringing the super emeralds in.
Yeah, I don't really... And it's like we know that the Chaos Emeralds rain down from space, and at this point the Master Emerald exists, but it's basically just a giant Chaos Emerald with Mammoth Mogul in it. But that only draws in the question of what the hell are the Super Emeralds? Are they something different? Are they different... are they also big Chaos Emeralds? I don't know.
Well, the fact that they very intentionally did not go into much detail makes me think that they intended to later.
We'll see some stuff with
Yes.
Super Emeralds, so maybe. But they escape from there, and it's fine. It's a perfectly fine little story, I think.
Yeah.
Subpar.
It had some good action in it. I think that was the
Yeah,
best part of it.
nothing extraordinary from a writing standpoint.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Which also goes for the second story of this issue, which is called Shadows in the Dark, written by Penders and drawn by Maxwell, and I forgot to write a description for this one, but it's okay, because the whole plot is that Sally talks to the Wolfpack, and then they say, "We're going home," and then they leave.
We're getting a bunch of stuff about the Wolfpack next. Or we're starting with this. I'm going to be honest. They've not done enough to really characterize the Wolfpack for me to really care that they're leaving.
That's
Exactly.
what they're about to do. That's because they're about to have some stories featuring them.
I feel like it's too little too late to do that.
This is one of the more recurring things that Penders does, is he writes the Wolfpack into a story, but the only thing that he has the Wolfpack do is leave for other places. And there's like 2 instances of this where he writes multiple chapter-long stories about the Wolfpack trying to go home, wherever the hell that is, and nothing important happens. And they usually just end up back where the heroes are anyway, because they're not going to carry a story on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very obviously they're leaning on Sat AM, because they literally redraw a scene from Sat AM with the lines from the Cry of the Wolf episode, which is actually kind of neat. But
Yeah.
if you'd at least seen that, I mean, they're not super big in that show, but at least you have something. If you only read the comics, yeah, there's like nothing. Like, why do I care about these characters at all?
Yeah, there's an entire episode about them in Sat AM that gives you reason to, actually like them, I guess is the right word.
It gives you reason to like Lupe, but she is the only named wolf in that show. All of these other ones are just ones that Penders came up with, and it's like they're probably more diverse, because there's like that pair of pink twins and the big blue guy, and I guess Drago kind of counts, even though he's not part of it because he's a bastard. But they all just feel like cardboard cutouts. They feel like stand-ins for characters, because they just have filler dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't related to anything, but Bunny's feet are drawn super huge in one of the frames for some reason. It literally is falling off the panel.
Yeah, there's another scene with the Wolfpack, I think on the next page, where their feet are also enormous.
Sam Maxwell's art is really weird. I still sometimes like it, but it's really weird.
Yeah, it doesn't. This story, it doesn't look bad.
Yeah. So the only other note that I have is that their home apparently is in St. Louis, because the big Gateway arc is there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I didn't notice that.
Lauren and I have been to St. Louis before. Okay, we've been through St. Louis. It doesn't look like that.
No, this looks like this looks like a deserted wasteland.
It looks like Robotropolis.
I mean, it's been a little while.
Yeah.
I don't know how long the arch is going to stay standing after the end of the world. It doesn't look that secure, but maybe I don't know anything about physics.
Oh, it's made out of metal.
The Eiffel Tower will probably stay up for a long time.
The Eiffel Tower will outlive the French.
That's probably true. Well, let's not dilly-dally. Let's move on here to Knuckles number 19, because we have a Knuckles arc today. And, hey, it's Jeffrey's team. We didn't spend all of that time for nothing, technically.
This just feels weird. To build a crack squad with Saint Jerk and then bring it into the Knuckles series? That's just odd.
I feel like the only reason they brought it into the Knuckles series was because it's on Angel Island. Like, because they're going to Angel Island. If it was anywhere else, it would have been it would have been more secondary stories in Sonic.
Consider they chose to write it on Angel Island, though, so...
Yeah, I don't get why they did that.
Well, and here's the thing, is that you can read this arc without having read any of the On His Majesty's Secret Service stuff, and all you'll miss is Jeffrey building this team of characters who, spoiler alert, in these issues, does not do very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my notes, so I guess we can just say that.
Yeah, the Forbidden Zone arc. It's an arc. Starting here with, I believe this is called Whatever Happened to Queen Alicia, which is obviously Penders and Gallon like usual. Although this is the last full arc that Gallon draws for the series. We're going to get into other artists, and it's going to get weird.
Oh.
When a massive snowstorm hits Angel Island, Jeffrey's team struggles to reach the royal compound in their quest for the Queen. Meanwhile, Laura Leigh crash lands a ship when trying to reach Locke in the Forbidden Zone, and Knuckles sets out with Remington and Julie Sue to make sure she's okay. So, the only good thing that I can say about the opening here is that they let Antoine fly the plane, and oh my god, it's Antoine, it's my boy, I've missed you.
Yeah, when was the last time we saw Antoine? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago?
I think that recap of the part in Endgame was the last time we saw him.
And that was like close to 3 weeks ago, I think.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's good to see him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't keep up the positivity as Saint Jerk displays how great he is at commanding. As he's like, all right, any questions? Save them for later.
God, I love this panel. It's kind of a bad panel because Jeffrey asks any questions, but the big yeah from everyone all set is right there. So it looks like he's going, any questions? Yeah!
Yell, yeah.
The order of dialogue is a little confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
Save him for later, but yeah, no. Jeffrey is he's still unlikable. He's anywho, they got caught out in the blizzard, which, you know, maybe you guys should have worn some winter gear. Instead, all you have is vests.
Yeah, none of them are wearing pants, at least. I mean,
Yeah,
come on,
becoming
it's cold.
increasingly obvious with how Gallon is drawing the women, but
Yeah,
it's not as bad as sometimes. But we
that's true.
let's leave these assholes in the snow for right now. We
Gladly.
cut to the Guardians. I want to point out something with this scene with Locke and Saber, which is that Locke at one point says that Knuckles has probably been the first Guardian that's truly looked after everyone's well-being on the floating island. What does that say about the others? What are the others doing?
Yes. I was going to bring this up. It's a beautiful moment because it's like, wow, are we all really terrible? Like, Knuckles is surprisingly a decent echidna. Wow.
Yeah, damn, it's almost like Knuckles is a decent person, unlike you, Locke.
Not gonna confront that, though.
I mean, to be fair, what's he gonna do? That would be a little shaking if he actually, like, suddenly only just now that occurred to him.
Are we the baddies?
Anywho, so they're of course spying on the island because that's all they ever do.
Of course.
Although, after seeing Laura Leigh, Locke is like, you know what? I've had enough of this. It's time to blow my cover. I'm just leaving and going and talking to her.
He is so terminally divorced that he sees his ex-wife and is like, all right, time to abandon my position.
Yeah.
So then we cut away from that because we can never just have a scene start and end, but we cut to Knuckles and Julie Sue trying to get through the snow, and they're very cold, and they're huddling up next to each other, which actually looks kind of cute.
So, I'd like to question something real quick.
Yeah?
So we've determined already that Angel Island is originally from Down Under.
Yeah.
But it's moved since then.
Yeah.
Wouldn't its climate change based on where it is? So they would be getting more snow depending on where they are? The Echidna Society has seemed to have just fallen apart because of snow. It's almost like they're in Oregon.
Well, so I think that this is another day of fury. It's extreme snow. It's like what they've got in New York, you know?
Oof, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to remark earlier how Antoine was like, all right, you guys got to be quick because I'm not going to be able to pick you up later, which is a little unusual because usually the floating island, it seems like people can just go there and leave easily. So, yeah, there's obviously something strange going on.
Yeah. Evidenced by the fact that Knuckles and Julie find a woman barely hanging on, buried in the snow. And so Julie Sue is going to take her to the hospital while Knuckles is going to go to her house and take care of her baby.
This leads to one of the most genius moments from Knuckles. You know, it's true. What what Laura Leigh said, that he is a child prodigy, because he looks around, is like, wonder where the child is. Ah, a crib. This must be the baby's room. What a detective I am.
I have. It is one of the most surreal lines, because I honestly can't tell if that's supposed to be a joke or not.
It totally is.
It's definitely a joke, but goddamn, it's written like they haven't realized they've been writing Knuckles as a complete dimwit for the last 18 issues.
Well, yeah, we get to exhibit some of that wonderful. This is like Knuckles being forced to take care of a baby and like change a diaper. It's dumb. It's not really what I want, but it does lead to Knuckles being the Knucklesest I've seen him in a long time in these comics.
It is pretty nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
This is literally a Sonic Boom scenario.
Yes, it is.
Which is not to say that Boom Knuckles is the same as normal Knuckles. He is completely different, but it's shades of a Knuckles that I know.
That was, like, poetic.
Anywho, I don't have anything to say about the intervening pages with Jeffrey's team, but
They sure are devoted to their mission.
yeah. Locke gets to Laura Leigh's pod, and despite coming here to see him, Laura Leigh is not happy to see him, which makes sense.
Can someone explain to me why she opened the door and then just left it open and then is like freezing to death? You saw her walking out earlier. So
Oh, yeah,
it
you're
seemed
right.
intentional.
Huh.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe that was
she
a communication
baiting
error.
Locke. It was all part of her plan.
Oh, she's secretly just as manipulative as he is.
That would actually be like so poetic.
Knuckles,
But
both
I'm
your
afraid
parents suck.
They're not gonna write her that way, though. I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
God, I hope they don't run her that way.
No, they won't, I promise. The cops finally show up at the lady's house. Knuckles hands off the baby to them, and Remington's like, yeah, get in. We gotta get moving. We do get the actual, like, setup for the conflict here, which is that Morituri Rex learns that Locke is gone, and he still is in disguise as Tober, so he's going to be threatening. Jeffrey's team finally gets to the royal compound on Angel Island, and it just looks like some house, and there's just people here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a weird situation. It makes a little more sense later, but yeah, there's just some people living here.
Yeah, dog men and dog wife and secret third guy.
Wow.
It's some guy who's like, did someone mention my mother? And it's like, oh.
Wow.
Your acting skills just keep getting better and better, Devin.
Listen, if nothing else, this issue does have multiple plot lines that are moving.
Yeah.
True.
And speaking of moving, let's be moving on. That's a terrible segue to Knuckles number 20. I like the Echidna's monitor here that applies a Photoshop effect to Jeffrey.
Looks like he's stained glass.
Yeah, why?
Reasons.
Ah, yes, reasons. My favorite reason.
The story for this time requires a content warning for sexual assault, because that's where this is going. But this is Once Upon a Time in Mobotropolis, written by Penders and drawn by Gallon. Jeffrey's team is formally introduced to Elias, the long-lost prince of the Acorns, and investigates his and his mother's disappearance during the war. Meanwhile, Knuckles' gang tracks Laura Leigh, only to find her missing from her crash site. And, yeah, we start off about the worst possible way we could, with Locke forcing a kiss on Laura Leigh, who definitely does not want anything to do with him other than to talk to him about Knuckles.
Yeah,
So,
it's
here's the thing. Initially, I was like, okay, they're cutting away, and then she's gonna, like, give him a good old smack in the face. But, that doesn't happen. So, you say that, and I agree, that's the way it should be, but she actually never ever protests, which is very strange.
I don't like it.
Well, no, it's inconsistent and it's creepy, but it does not play out the way I would expect it to. So it's also confusing. This has to be bad in every possible way. I swear.
I feel so bad for this woman. Yeah, let's leave that grossness in the past. Let's talk about the not so terrible part of this, which is Elias Acorn. He is the secret prince, the long lost brother of Sally.
Yeah.
He looks very smug in this first drawing.
Yes, he does. He looks pompous. He's got a Joestar birthmark on his arm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where the birthmark is.
Yeah, I don't know how birthmarks work on fur, but
They don't, but let's just ignore that fact unless that's actually skin.
So, Knuckles heads out alone to find Lorelei. Apparently no follow-up questions to that whole she was gonna see your dad thing. And I don't know. We get flashbacks interspersed through a lot of this that are just of the big fight between Locke and Lorelei that basically was, you're not allowed to be his mom. And like every other thing that happens to Lorelei, she just kind of had to fucking deal with it. Sorry I'm swearing so much.
It's understandable. Apparently, Locke didn't tell Lorelei about a lot of stuff too. That's just what he does. He doesn't tell people about anything.
Yeah, that's like his primary character trait.
You know, we had some commenters, talking about the whole Locke is sort of influenced by Penders' own dad thing, which I've cut out from a lot of these episodes because I don't like to be too psychoanalytical. But it's like, this has such troubling implications, both for Penders writing it, but also for the message that it gives to any kid.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Not a fan. So the context here is basically, for Elias, that is that the Bulldog Colonel, he explains that Sally and Elias were both basically supposed to be kept secret and protected during the war, but they only really had the chance to grab Elias when they were setting out for the safe house with the Queen, and they got shot down by the Overlanders over Angel Island, and they all got separated. Yeah.
This is honestly about as good an explanation as you could expect when the writers decide to bring in a whole bunch of new characters like this that are very important to the main characters that have been around. It's very improbable, though.
I mean, you could say that Elias and the Queen were together when they crashed down. What's questionable is how they got separated, really. And how the Queen got horribly injured, but the Bulldog Colonel and his wife were totally fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, because of the Day of the Fury, there's, big flood that they all have to work together to survive.
Yeah, so there's this bit where Knuckles is like, where the heck did my mom go? And then Remington is like, I don't know. A lot of things weird happen on the floating island. Like, he's trying to sloppily cover up, which is strange considering he literally let slip that Locke is walking around earlier.
He's so happy when he says that.
There's also this discussion between Locke and Lorelei, where she's talking about how she believes in like fate and the recurring days of fury, and Locke is like, I didn't read about that stuff, which is kind of surprising. But then it made me realize, maybe the real reason they broke up is differences in religious beliefs.
That does kind of make sense.
I mean, Locke as a guardian, the Guardians are kind of like a religion.
Sort of.
Locke could basically say the reason that I was so horrible to you is because my religion told me to do it, and that would be eerily accurate to the way a lot of people act in real life.
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
So yeah, they all crash land, and everyone is out cold except Knuckles because reasons, Guardian-related reasons, I suppose.
Character.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. He's the main character.
He goes out, he walks out, and we're at the spot where Locke jumped into the wall of fire and pretended to kill himself. And Knuckles goes in, because at this point he knows his dad is alive, so it's like it's fine. And he gets sent to the Haven base.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think this would ever happen.
I was a little surprised it happened. I don't want to say this soon because we're like over halfway through the Knuckles comics, but this soon.
Still feels soon.
Well, we know Penders to be someone who draws things out, so it's a little bit.
It still feels like, wow. I would half expect it to happen like right as the Knuckles comics are getting canceled.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I thought they were gonna meander around too long, run out of time, but apparently not at all.
But damn, we still have like I think over 10 issues left.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, so it's like, damn, they're actually kind of getting on things suddenly.
Don't worry, we'll still have plenty of time to meander.
Fair enough.
So yeah, let's move on to Knuckles number 21. Yay, purple.
Purple goo.
Yes, we're gonna see what's up with Genova this story.
Green is dangerous. You've never even seen purple though. Anywho, the story here is The Many Facets of the Truth. Written by Penders, drawn by Gallon. Knuckles finally learns the secrets of Haven and the Brotherhood of Guardians, while Morituri Rex, still impersonating Tober, plots to kill him. Meanwhile, Elias shows Jeffrey's team the truth about the Queen.
Ooh, ominous.
So, yeah, at the start, Jeffrey's team is getting washed away by the water, and there's this really random bit of characterization between Heavy and Bomb, where, like, apparently Bomb is, like, characterized as a child, and Heavy explains to them the properties of elastic material as the rope snaps. It's honestly adorable.
It's really weird. It comes out of left field. I'm not sure these characters...
Anything to make any of these characters more interesting.
I mean,
I suppose. They're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. What we should worry about is that Knuckles wakes up and finds himself surrounded by grandpas.
Oh, no.
Thunderhawk, Saber, Sojourner, Spectre, and Tober, who is Mortory Rex. Which I keep telling myself their names because I'm not able to remember them easily.
Thanks, 'cause I definitely don't remember them at all.
Probably don't even know which name goes to which guy.
Either way, I really like this bit where Knuckles is addressing Rex, and they both know exactly what's up, but neither of them give way because they're like waiting for the right moment. So there's this menacing undertone in their words, and you get to see what they're thinking.
Yeah, this is actually a half-decent scene because it's Knuckles and Rex both knowing that the other knows that they know, but knowing that none of the others know. And so they're, being cordial with one another, and Tober Rex is like, nice to meet you, but he's actually thinking, I want to slit this child's fucking throat so bad.
Jesus.
I think I would have preferred if maybe we didn't have so many thought balloons to let us know exactly what's going on, and you can just have context, but it's fine.
The thought balloons they kind of clutter everything up.
Yeah.
It's certainly not perfect, but I wanted to at least give them some credit.
Oh no, I agree though. It is a cool bit of scening.
Yeah. So Jeffrey and Eli and everybody meet up with Locke and Laura, and Locke explains how they saved Elias as a baby, and they lied to the humans about everyone dying in the crash.
This part doesn't make any sense. At first, they're like, oh, shouldn't we tell them that we have Elias? And they're like, oh, but the Overlanders are going to get mad. Makes sense. However, after the Overlanders get defeated, and after Robotnik gets defeated, wouldn't that be the perfect time to
It sure would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Also, the human they tell this lie to is Sephiroth.
Yes.
It's like we've been talking about Genova, and here he is. Here's the son.
You're quite right. The way the Overlanders are drawn is hilarious.
Well, in any case, Queen Alicia was not killed, but she was very, very badly injured. And so the Guardians have kept her in cryogenic storage so that she won't die, but she's not actually being healed.
Yeah, they're basically just freezing her so no more damage can be done to her.
Yep.
Also, I'd like to point out the scene where they find the Queen Alicia, her arm is in like a totally normal position, but it still looks really painful.
Well,
I don't know what it is about it.
her hand is what looks weird. It's drawn all angular and squiggly, even though it doesn't
Yeah.
look broken. There's a bit in one episode of Adventure Time where Finn tries to just use his hands and fingers as a skeleton key, and it just
Oh, God.
breaks them. It looks like that. But this is the thing: is that yes, it makes sense to lie to the Overlanders. I don't understand lying to the king.
They can't tell the king because then the Overlanders might find out. It makes sense for a
Yes.
while,
Yeah.
but they should have spoken up as soon as. I mean, it makes sense
Well, they
waiting
should've-
when.
They should have kept it as secret with the king as anybody else. But yes, Robotnik being defeated is a reason to tell them. Robotnik coming to power at all is a reason to tell them because things have already collapsed.
The king was thought dead for a while.
That's true.
There's still somebody you can tell. Whatever.
You're right. I'm saying
Yeah.
there were absolutely no excuses as soon as Robotnik was gone.
That's definitely true.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is 100% true.
And, Colonel Bulldog, who I had to look him up. His name is Summersby.
Yes.
Huh.
He was not in on this at all. Instead, he just conveniently played into the plan by deciding to exile himself on the island in disgrace, even though you'd think he'd still have cared to return the prince home in all that time.
I mean, part of that is explained by him suddenly just finding Elias one day.
Rex screwed around with this a little bit. He didn't tell the rest about Summersby. And yeah, eventually he found out. But by the time Summersby found the prince, it seems he'd kind of he'd completely broken off contact. So it would have been probably difficult to notify the kingdom at that point.
This is the second time in 2 episodes that a plot contrivance has been founded on someone just deciding to live in exile.
You're right. Yeah, these are the kind of things I was talking about. I'm trying to justify them, but yeah, it's
No,
sloppy.
you're doing your best. I'm not blaming you. You are the true reader because you're making these connections. You're doing a lot of
Right.
Penders' work for him. And yeah, Rex did have some to do with it. And speaking of Rex, now he attacks Knuckles with a syringe full of, I guess, poison.
So, I mean, that's slightly disappointing, but I guess Rex really didn't have much as far as ideas, so he's like, heck, I'll just try and kill him.
It's a bit weak. He does at least finally use the Cyclops visor to shoot lasers. Doesn't work though.
Nope.
He even looks surprised that it didn't work, even though he wasn't aiming at Knuckles.
So yeah, and of course, just as Jeffrey's team is arriving at Haven, Locke is leaving with Lara to conveniently draw out ever seeing Knuckles again even longer. Which is completely undercut by the fact that he leaves a message for Knuckles, so it's like, what's the point?
Leave a tone at the beep,
There's a funky moment where Locke is like, oh, look, the rescuers need rescuing, Lara, haha. And then she's like, why do you always have to sound so condescending? And he's like, you're right, that was uncalled for. Are they trying to redeem Locke?
That's something that I read on, because there have been multiple points where I've just, straight up stolen lines from the blog, thanks Ken Penders, because Bobby Schroeder is a good writer. I like her work, and, she gave us a reading order. One of the things that she said is that the interplay between Locke and Lara here, she suspects is not just Penders being horrible, but trying and failing hilariously to set a plot point implying that Locke and Lara might get back together.
Interesting.
because Mel-
Yeah, no,
melodrama.
I was gonna bring that up because at the end, that's very clearly what they're going for. Because Windmaker shows up and hugs Lorelei, and then Locke is like, "I'm not sure everything went as planned." That's the implication. So yeah, no, no. I mean, maybe if they pull it off well, but I don't have much faith in them.
No, I hate that. I hate that in concept.
They can go as far as coming off on friendly terms, because at the moment, Laura should be a lot more unfriendly than she is being.
Right.
That's very strange. So I would go for a sort of making amends, if you will, to an extent. But you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, having them decreasing hostilities, yes, but they could never be together again because he's such a fucking dick.
Yeah. I mean, assuming he stays that way. I mean, I'm up for character development, but again, I have my doubts.
Right.
Well, aside from all that, Knuckles kicks Rex's ass.
Yep.
Yeah, the fight's kind of over fast.
Well, he gets separated, and then they're like, wait, we have to stop him. And when the rest are like, wait a minute, that's not really a Tobor? And he's like, yeah, and then he's just gone.
Yeah, he just gets away.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what happens to him.
Shinginta. I don't know. He wrote a message on the wall.
Yes. Shinginka. Shinji Ikari.
It sounds like you guys are like having a stroke. I know what you're trying to read.
What?
But
Is this a real word?
I don't
I'm gonna
think
have to look this
is.
up. Yeah, so extremely unsatisfying conclusion to that, especially since the Brotherhood were watching all of this on the screen the whole time to do anything.
Yeah, hell yeah.
New.
Hell yeah. Nothing is resolved in this in 3 issues.
I mean, this isn't relevant to the Knuckles story, but I mean, they do get the Queen at the end.
Okay,
so,
fair enough.
And-
well, they
and
see
Eli.
her. They don't really get her.
I mean, that's the implication, and this is what's
Yeah.
shown next.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they can't really do anything beyond just seeing like, oh, she's here now. Cool.
Yeah, it's one mess after another, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Queen has been kept in stasis here because she's basically just not conscious. And pretty much everybody else goes home.
Yeah, well, they don't really show what happens next, other than I mean, like you said, Locke leaves, but everyone else, we don't see them leave. That they skip that over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we end on another not ending.
Right.
We did find the Queen, and we got Eli, and Rex was exposed, but he got away. Everybody else just gets sidelined. Like, maybe during the flood, like, Lauren said that Heavy and Bomb got that bit. Hershey and Stu and Valdez got nothing here.
100%. Yeah, it was weird that he's like, all right, let's build a crack team, and then they did nothing.
Realistically, it didn't need to be a team. It could have just been Jeffrey on his own.
Yeah. No, it could have. That's true.
There was no reason for everyone else to come along, but they're here, so yay.
So, Sonic or Knuckles this week?
That's a tricky one.
It is, because
I want to give it to Knuckles out of principle because the Sonic issues felt kind of like a wet fart. This felt like a slightly...
things happened in both, but they were extremely unsatisfying in both, too.
Yeah, they were both unsatisfying, but I have to give it to Knuckles out of principle because the Sonic issues just felt way more unsatisfying to me.
Well, the Sonic issues were built up more in the main line.
Mainly because of the way the deal with Naugus was dealt with.
Yeah, whereas Knuckles is always frustrating, but it's also consistent, and that consistency, there is a comfort in that, as weird as it is. So Bruce gives it to Knuckles. Lauren, what do you think?
I really don't know. I can't decide. Like, they're both just not great. Very underwhelming.
I mean, yeah,
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
If you see my wife, tell her I said hello.
I mean, I really didn't like the second Sonic issue at all. The first Sonic issue was okay. I guess I have to give it to Knuckles then.
Alright, that's 2 for Knuckles. I'm feeling Sonic this time, although I'm also feeling Knuckles.
See? Not so easy.
I like Rex getting bopped. I don't like him getting away. I like just Stephen Butler's art in general a little bit more than Gallen's, but, like, that shouldn't be too big a factor. You know, it's like if it's not harming the story, I don't think it should be too big a deal. And
Sure.
Gallen's perfectly good as an artist. I think, you know, just because Locke is fucking disgusting today, I'm gonna give it to Sonic.
Fair enough.
Fair enough,
Would have
yeah.
said, regardless of your reasoning.
Yeah. Well, you know, it'll get better eventually. We just have to wait. It'll happen sometime. And next time on Deep Dive Zone, things will get better because we will be heading home. And we'll have no Knuckles comics at all next time. Instead, we'll have Sailor Moon?
Oh, yeah.
Look forward to that.
Well, for all of us out there, all of you out there watching, thank you so much for being here with us each week. You know, it really does mean a lot. I hope if you like this video that you will like, share, comment, and subscribe. You can reach us at any of the places shown on screen right now. There's a lot of them now. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you in the next one.